4.3. Talking about cloud architecture without diagrams. There is a moment in some interviews when someone says, "Great, can you walk me through the architecture of your system?" And suddenly there is no whiteboard, no slides, nothing to draw, just your voice. A lot of engineers feel stuck right there. They think, how do I explain something this visual without showing anything? But the truth is, good engineers can make someone picture a system in their head simply by choosing the right words. The trick is not to describe everything. The trick is to guide the person, slowly, from the outside in. Imagine you're giving someone a small tour. You wouldn't start by describing the pipes inside the walls. You'd first say, here's the building, here's the entrance. Only then would you go deeper. Architecture works the same way. So when you start explaining, begin at the very edge. Users open the app or website, and every request first passes through an entry point that handles routing and security. Already the listener knows where the story begins. Then you move one step further. You explain that there is an API layer that receives requests, checks permissions, applies business logic, and coordinates with other services. You're not flooding them with frameworks or acronyms. You're explaining roles, not brands. After that, you talk about the data in a calm, simple way. Some information is structured and lives in a relational database. Other information, like logs or metrics, has a different shape and goes into storage better suited for it. Instead of trying to impress, you explain why things are separated. Then you talk about the parts that work quietly in the background. Workers that process tasks, monitoring systems that watch for errors, scaling that adds more instances when traffic grows. Piece by piece, the picture becomes clearer, like someone filling in a sketch. And here's where you start sounding thoughtful. You talk about what happens when things break. Maybe one service can fail without taking everything down. Maybe queues absorb sudden spikes instead of crashing the system. Instead of bragging, you show that the system was designed to survive real life. Notice what you didn't do. You didn't sprint into deep technical detail. You didn't list every tool you've ever seen. You spoke in flows. A request arrives, the system processes it, data is stored, a response comes back, and the system keeps itself healthy. All the while, you pause. You leave space. You let the listener follow. Good architecture explanations feel calm, not rushed. And here is the real shift. You are not trying to explain an invisible diagram. You are gradually building the diagram in their mind, step by step. First the outside, then the middle, then the deeper parts. By the end, the interviewer doesn't just know what your system has, they understand why it is shaped that way. And that is the difference between reciting components and truly communicating architecture. Because the best explanations don't make people think, wow, that was complicated. They make people think, I get it, that actually makes sense. When you can walk someone through an architecture, one question remains. How do teams work around it? In the next chapter, we'll talk about DevOps as a mindset, not just tools. End of 4.3.